Welcome back to another edition of It's Gonna Be an Amazing Hair Day with Jake Thompson Hair. Just made that up. You know what? Honestly, it's gonna be rad. We're gonna keep that in the video. Why not to have a mirror fall right here? You know, we're trying to readjust that right now. Let's just do this on video. There we go. Okay. All right, guys, so why not end the year with one of the top trending haircuts of 2021? What is it? Well, I think you probably guessed it. It's a wolf cut, which is basically shag and a mullet combined together. We're gonna make this really super shaggy. I wanna introduce you guys. This is Macy. Macy is one of my clients.
Hello.
Yeah, say what's up, girl? What's up, YouTube? All right, guys, that's enough of that. Anyways, we're gonna be doing a full-blown makeover. It's gonna be super fun. Stick around, it's coming right up. We are basically gonna find where she naturally parts her hair. It's right there, gonna be in the center portion here. So the thing about when we get into like this wolf cut, right? A wolf cut or a shag or whatever it may be, you're gonna find really where the shortest portion is gonna be. And we were talking about this a little bit before. You know, we're gonna have some fringe up into this area. Now, of course, you know, if we have some fringe starting in this area right through here, then we're gonna have a lot of movement happening right through this area. So at the end of the day, you wanna find exactly where the hair is naturally going to be parted. One of the other things, guys, that we were discussing before is that Macy actually has really naturally straight hair. So the thing we have to be really concerned about is that you're not gonna get that full-blown look unless you kind of add a little bit of texture to it. You know, it'll probably look like more like a flat, like shaggy look when it's naturally straight, but when we actually put some texture in there, you're gonna see it kind of come alive. And we're gonna do that today as well. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of find out really where her fringe is living. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, you'll know when I actually go to find where that fringe is sitting, and it's a technique that I refer to as called blousing, where it's like we're actually not wearing a blouse, but we are blousing. And what that means is we're basically, we'll take, now you wanna find that there's gonna be a portion here. Now we'll take that, we'll brush that down, and then I'll push up right in that area. Now we're gonna find where that's where that frontal area is gonna be. And so now this is gonna be the start of the shortest section right through here. Then we're gonna have the sections right behind it, which we're gonna be, that'll be like the really shaggy portion right through here. So let's cut this first, right through here. So one of the things, whenever you guys are starting to cut like fringe, bangs, whatever you decide to call them, you know, we're gonna be taking these in 3 different sections. So we're gonna have 1 section, 2, and then 3. And it's gonna be much easier for you to actually cut instead of just taking your full fringe down. Now, one of the things about when I actually start to cut curtain fringe, because we are gonna be doing a curtain style fringe, is you see that I actually did that same exact thing. And I'm gonna bring this camera over here to where you can actually see, now I'll actually push up and you can see where her hair naturally parts right there in the middle. Because when you actually create a curtain fringe, you wanna have that parted right there in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this hair, just like this, and I'm actually going to brush this over, just like so. Now, when you over direct this, right over here like that, okay, and then we actually start to cut, you're actually going to be giving like a vertical line, just like that. What actually happens is now you're going to have this curtain style fringe, just like that. So when you actually comb that straight down, you're gonna see where it goes from short to long, just like that, okay? Now the same thing we're actually gonna be doing right over here on this side. We're gonna take a little bit, and we're gonna comb this over, just like that. You're gonna see where that guide is, right here, that short little piece, and we're gonna cut right to it. Now the really cool thing about this is that you actually create this nice little angle happening here, which is going to be where you're gonna have those nice little wings flipping out just like that, which is gonna be pretty awesome. So you're gonna have that really cool angle, just like that. Let's go ahead and cut the second and then the third section. You can see my guide underneath here, just like that. Then over through here, take this, see my guide right down through there. Take section down, the third section, the third and final section in this front area. Now I always kind of take and I'll always kind of push back up just like that. So after we get done with that, let's go ahead and take a look at everything and let's kind of see where we are with those lines. Okay, they look like they're even, but we won't know for sure until we actually get it dry. So, you know, I like to think I'm perfect, but you know. Now again, she's got really super straight hair, right? And so with having really super straight hair, you know, we want to create some texture in there when it gets dry. But right now I'm really just kind of starting to kind of bend it just a little bit and kind of really see how that is starting to look just like that. Because again, this is going to be really where we start, the shortest portion through here. Now, if you go to the definition of a wolf haircut, because that's the whole thing about a wolf haircut and a shag and a mullet, it's kind of like they're all combined together. We're not gonna go full exact wolf cut because I still want it to be so heavily shaggy in front that I'm gonna be connecting everything from this longest portion through here. In some of my other wolf cut videos, it's disconnected through here, so it does not blend when it comes down to these layers. These do not blend at this point. So, but I'm going to actually heavily layering right through this area because I just want that shagginess. If she had naturally wavy texture in her hair, then I would probably disconnect it because then you would have that nice kind of like puffiness right in this area. But knowing that her hair is really super straight, I want as much texture as possible. So you guys can see, this is the end of her fringe right through here, okay? Now with the end of the fringe right through this area, we're going to start layering everything from here. Okay, now this is where you really got to check your work, all right? Are things even through here? So we want to start by taking and grabbing from the same portion where we're at. Okay, so this side is actually layered heavily. Actually, it's actually layered more than it is on the other side. So I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to make that adjustment. Because one of the things is if you guys don't check your work like this and then you continue on, you're going to notice that, of course, one side is going to be longer, one side is going to be shorter. So we always want to make sure that we are checking our work along the way. One of the things about doing something like this is that you don't want to feel bad about layering like in front. This is really where all of the funness begins. Okay, now one of the things I want you guys to look at, you can actually start to see, this is where my guide is at underneath. It was right here. And so I'm going to be taking this hair and I'm just going to be connecting all underneath, just like that. Now, the thing you guys have to keep in mind is that I'm actually just mimicking each section from left to right, and I'm just taking those sections, and I'm really just moving this hair forward, and I'm really just trying to cut as much of this off as possible. Because you can see that when you actually do a shape like this, it has to be extremely open from the front. Now, as I get towards the middle of the head, I'm not gonna be bringing all this hair so far forward because the hair doesn't live forward. And I've talked about this before in some of my other videos. We're not gonna keep moving this all the way forward right through here. We're eventually gonna have to start to layer in this top area, and that's where this hair is going to live. All right guys, so now that we've actually taken care of the fringe, the bangs, and we've taken care of the sides and half of the front, we wanna make sure we can actually take care of the top, okay? Because again, if you're not taking care of like this specific area right through here, this is again where a lot of like, you know, that essential movement that you're gonna see right through this front area, this is where this adds to this. Now, again, we're gonna be keeping all of this length throughout the bottom. We're gonna shape this up, but as you guys know already, when it comes down to doing the wolf, the shag, and the mullet, it's all kind of combined. So you have a lot of heavy cutting through this area and throughout the sides, and then you have a little bit more length through the back, which is essentially where that shag and that mullet comes in. So let's go ahead and cut this. And how do you find your guide from that top portion? So let's take a little bit of hair right through this area, and we want to hold this up, and we're gonna kind of see where that shortest point is actually gonna be, which is gonna be that specific hair right there. And so now what we wanna do is we're gonna come through, we're gonna cut this hair off. Now I'm actually gonna be doing radial sections right through here, and these radial sections are going to progressively get a little bit longer as we move back. Now, if I was to take a little bit more of this section down through here, and it's just gonna be a continuation of like a mohawk section. So take this, comb this up, just like that. And let's kind of see, and we're gonna see essentially this would be her bottom length right through here, just like that. Now that naturally just kind of falls out. And we cut all of that, just like that. Now, as you can kind of see, again, you're getting now this extreme layer. Let's follow this all the way through here. You can actually see where this is layered right through here. So you can see where this follows, just like that, and you can see how it falls all the way down. And so you're gonna get this extreme kind of layered look right back through here. So now that we've taken our mohawk section right through here, we're actually gonna start doing radial sections. Now, radial sections are going to work just like this. Now I'm gonna work my way around all the way like that. So I come from a classic stream of hairdressing, and being that a lot of times when you're cutting in front, right, the one thing you actually kind of want to avoid is ever cutting off this corner right through here, because this essentially is now going to take this into this mullet realm. But since we are kind of like going for something a little bit more extreme when it comes down to this, we're going to take this and we're gonna soften up this corner and really kind of cut this corner off. And so that's really what I'm doing right now, because I really kind of want to emphasize and show off that length in the back. You know, and we'll go through and we'll kind of texturize this when it dries. But one of the things is that, you know, coming from that classic old school hairdressing, that was one of the last things you wanted to do, was like, never cut off this corner. But we want to keep that line going, and we don't want it to kind of curve in like right through here. So we really want to show off that length back through there. So when this hair falls over her shoulders just like that, you're going to be able to see how much more length she has back through there. So that's a reason for that. So let's go ahead and do this side. And I'm just taking the underneath portion here. Now, as you can see, like right through here, we've got, you know, you can see where that layering portion is, and we are just going to soften up and blur that line right through there. Kind of take off that little corner right through there. With that, guys, we're actually gonna go ahead and dry. I'm really just gonna kind of rough dry it really quick, and it's gonna make this hair super, super straight. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna refine a lot of it when it is straight, and then I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna add some texture with like a rod or a curling iron or something like that to really emphasize what's happening here. So if you guys are dealing with hair that actually is super, super straight, which Macy has, right? You can see that I started off using kind of like a Mason Pearson style brush. Then I started to go in with a round brush just to give it a little bit of a bend to it. Now, this is starting to actually look really, really amazing, but you can see how the effect isn't 100% until you really start to put a lot of texture in here. Now we're gonna finish up the cutting and then we'll do that as well. But what I really, really want you guys to notice is that there's a lot of like activity happening in this area. Now, if you're gonna be going for like that shag, wolf, you know, mullet, all of it really needs to have like a concentration of this. And then you're gonna see accessorizing by the shortness in the front or how much length you actually have in the back. If you're going for more extreme mullet, like then you would have like a lot longer, you know, length. And so you would have those kind of accessories in there that would tie in a lot of this activity right through this area. So let's go ahead and go in, because again, I want to kind of bring out a lot more of this texture, meaning that when she goes in to put like a rod in here, or she just goes in with any sort of curling iron, or even just a flat iron to create some sort of wave and curl, we want to make sure that the hair is loose enough in this area so it doesn't just fall flat. So one of the things I really like to do is I'm going to be taking the same kind of sectioning that I took before, and now I'm really just gonna be going through and kind of softening up some of this points. Now I'm gonna go in, and I've used my texturizing before. I love my texturizers. They just allow me to do this in kind of a faster way. But what I can do is I can really just go in and soften up like some of these end portions through here. Now, and again, as you can see, I'm taking the same kind of sectioning I did when I started to cut throughout this front area. You can see this mid portion right through here. Now, this mid portion is going to be the area that is going to be the difference between that top portion and that mullet portion right through that bottom portion area. Now I'm going to be going through on this, over here on this side, and I'll just hit just a little bit right in that front area. Just hit those ends just a little bit. Take another section right through here. Now again, this kind of mid area right through here is gonna be that separating point between that top portion and that bottom mullet area. When I look at her hair, I want it to still have a lot of that movement in that mid area. That is super, super important to me. Now back in this area, I mean, she has a ton of hair back through this area. And so you can see I'm actually going a little bit more aggressive back through here. A lot of times people have a lot of hair back through this kind of like back portion area because, again, just right through that area. If you don't take out enough hair back through there, it can have a tendency to fall just really, really super heavy. Now I'm actually working on the sections back through this area. It's very 70s, it's very now. I mean, that's really what I love about doing shapes like this is that, you know, trends come back, guys. You know, if you really, really think about what's happening here is that, I mean, this was hot like in the 60s and the 70s. You know, tons of rock bands had this exact same look. So if you're watching my channel and you're like, man, we used to do this back in the day. Yes, I am very aware. Everything just comes back with a new twist a new take on it. But at the end of the day, it's a shag. It literally is a shag. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, I know when I first did my first wolf cut video, you know, I was a little bit like, I mean, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, this is literally a shag, you know? I used to roam the earth with the dinosaurs. I take care of my skin, blah, 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 blah. Botox, you know, it does a man really, really good. And I haven't had it recently lately because wife's been pumping. But when she's done, oh yeah, we're going in. 60 units, 70 units, man. Boom, 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 boom. Take all those wrinkles away. Anyways, the whole point, guys, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this look is gonna be trending next year, 2022? I'm gonna say probably. You know what my little thing is? I think chunky highlights are coming back. We're gonna start to see it. We're actually starting to see it with like the money pieces. You're seeing a lot of people, you know, with like chunk of color. That was early 90s, by the way. Okay guys, so now one of my biggest things is that I really wanna start to kind of pull like those lines kind of forward just like that. Because again, the thing about it is you have to think about when you are working with really, really straight hair like this, we wanna make sure that if Macy does not curl it, which again, like that's a lot of effort to do that, but if we can get this shape rocking in her natural texture, but then if she decides to put that texture in her hair, it'll just take that look from ordinary to extraordinary. But we really wanna make sure that it looks really, really good with her natural straight texture. That is super, super important, guys. You know, because if it doesn't, then you're gonna feel like you're like, oh my gosh, my haircut doesn't look good unless it's styled like this. Okay, now I told you before, like when we were actually cutting this line down through here, now I'm even gonna be doing a little bit more right through this bottom portion. Because again, I want the longest portion of her length to be right down the center of her back. Now, if I over direct this hair and I keep over directing this all the way over like this, you'll notice when I go to take this over her shoulder, she's going to have a majority of her length sitting right back through the back center, okay? That is super important. So now I'm gonna do the same thing over here on this side. Now what I wanna do is that you can see how these are textured lines along the bottom, like right through there. I wanna make sure that this line down through here mimics that, because this was cut very, very blunt right through here. So we wanna keep that same consistency happening. Just right through this bottom portion, and I'm just gonna kind of soften that up just a little bit. And you can see my fingers underneath there, and it really just kind of helps to keep that same consistency and that same flow happening. All right, guys, so as you guys can see from what we did before with the actual blow dry and then using a little bit of a Mason Pearson and then a round brush, right? Then we actually went through with the curling iron and we created a lot more kind of wave and actual texture in here. And I actually went through and I kind of brushed a little bit of it out because I really just kind of want it big. I want it kind of frothy. I don't really want it super defined. So the thing I want you guys to keep in mind is that I went through with this cool Sam Villa curling iron. It is a Marcel iron, right? It's not a regular clamp iron. But the cool thing about it is that you can actually have this spool in here to where I went in with this specific area and I actually used that. So I went in and I kind of created this kind of wolfish kind of style right here like that. And I used that spool. Then the other really cool thing is that I actually detached this piece right through here, and then you can actually turn it right into an actual rod is what I did. And so the other cool thing is that now I went through with those pieces, then I started to really just kind of wrap it around to create that texture. And I left those ends out, okay? Leaving those ends out kind of helps create that texture on those ends that really kind of make it kind of come alive. You know what I mean? Which I think is really, really kind of cool. It's super modern, it's super now. Again, the other really cool thing is that when we go in and we kind of brush through this, we're really looking to create a lot of width. That is super, super important. So to create that width, you know, you can go in and you can actually kind of like push this fringe right out of the way. You can make sure that that curtain is looking pretty curtain-ish, you know? So actually I wanna create a little bit of texture in here. I'm gonna be using this kind of volume and powder. This is from Kerastase. This stuff is amazing. And it creates like a second and or third day hair immediately. Macy's hair is very, very soft. And you know, when you actually have really, really soft hair like this, you know, the hair just works so much better when it's dirty. And that's what I'm doing is I'm gonna go in and create some dirtiness with her hair because I want the hair to have some volume. I want it to have just kind of like that lived in texture to it. As you can kind of start to see as I kind of spray this through and I kind of work this around, you can see how cool this looks. Now the thing I really want you guys to focus on, look how it just opens up her beautiful face. She's so beautiful. She's such a beautiful girl. Thank you. I really just want to thank this fabulous, fabulous girl, Macy. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. But again, notice how, again, you're just really starting to kind of bring out that texture in that area. Go in with a little bit of a hairspray to kind of hold this. Now what I always like to do is really just kind of shake this out just a little bit and kind of bring out that texture. And again, you guys can still even see her hair is so soft. I'm actually having to apply more and more product. Guys, I just want to thank you guys so much. 2021 has been awesome. I wanted to end this year with a bang, doing something that is super trending right now, which is a wolf, a shag, a mullet, a combination, a goulash of just awesome hair. I want to thank Macy. Thank you for donating your time, your hair, all that good stuff. Guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and like this video if you have not subscribed. Thank you guys for the support this year. I really appreciate it. 2022 is gonna be badass. Honestly, stick around. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. Thank you guys. I will see you guys in the next video.